God's telling us that if you come into this mindset that you don't want to keep my commandments, verse 15, and if you shall despise my statutes, and if your soul abhor my judgments. And that's our mindset today, especially up here in Canada. We hate God. We don't want to keep God's laws. We don't want to obey God. No one goes to church anymore, maybe 10% of Canadians. And of course, this is also in the United States, Australia, Britain, and so on. We despise his statutes. We abhor his judgments. So that you will not do all my commandments, that ye break my covenant, which we have. The Abrahamic covenant God made with Abraham and his seed forever. We have broken that covenant. God says this, I will do this unto you. Now, when we read Ezekiel, the 7th chapter, verses 8 and 9, God says that I will judge you according to your ways and your abominations. So God is going to give us what we want. If we don't want God in our society, if we don't want to live by the laws of God, well then God says, I'm going to give you a society that I'm not involved in. I'm going to give you a society without the laws of God because I'm giving you exactly what you want. And when you look at third world societies that are without God, what plagues them? War, terrorism, poverty, famine, sickness, disease. That's a society without God. We want a society without God or his laws. So God says, I'm going to give you what you want. God says, I will do this unto you. I will even appoint over you terror. What are we experiencing right now? Terrorism in Britain, in Canada, in the United States, in Australia, other places, among the Israelitish people, all over northwestern Europe. Why are we experiencing this? Because we don't want any part of God or his laws. So God says, you don't want a society with me? I'll give you a society without me. I'm giving you exactly what you want. I will judge you according to your ways and your abominations. I'll show you another prophecy here in Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter, verse 25. God says this. In verse 20, it says, these are children in whom there is no faith. They've apostatized from God. They don't want to keep God's laws. Verse 25 says, I will give you the sword without. That's warfare. And we are fighting wars outside of our borders in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria and other places. The sword without and terror within. And that's exactly what's happening today. We are fighting wars far beyond our borders, and we are experiencing terrorism within our borders. God says this is exactly what's going to happen because you have forsaken me. Well, then God says, I'm going to give you what you want. And now we're experiencing the consequences of sin. We want a sinful lifestyle. We want a nation without God. Well, you're going to get it, and now we are experiencing it.